Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Coach's Corner. For the first time since I've been recording, the fire actually feels really good this morning. A nice, brisk, cool morning in the mountains. So, for today, I'm going to do a little bit different topic than what I have thus far as the video blogging goes. I'm going to take on what most people consider a very contentious and difficult topic, and I'm going to share this one publicly for free, I think. Because I think that it's important for people to see emotion and tone as opposed to the standard means of communication or debate or argument today, which is social media. And I think that emotion and tone too often get lost in the text, and so when we're debating or arguing about any given topic on social media, we apply the most negative possible emotional reactions, the scowling face, to our political, ideological opponent, and I think that that's leading to some really bad things that we wouldn't typically have with human-to-human contact. So that's one of the reasons I'd like to take on this topic, so that you can see my face and hear my tone and things like that. So I'll just start it like this. This is a picture of my son. And so is this. Obviously, the topic that I'm going to be discussing today is the topic of abortion. I want to say that I think that that people on the left side of the ideological argument here in terms of abortion often feel that conservatives or libertarian-minded people are completely opposed to legal means of abortion, and I actually have never met anyone, and I live in a very, very religious community. I've never met anyone that wants it to be completely illegal. I have met people that are vehemently against abortion as a promotion, and so am I. But I do think it needs to remain legal in terms of safe, legal, rare, as the original intent was, for things like rape and incest, and in particular in cases where the procedure would save the life of the mother, because she is the first life here on planet Earth. Okay. Now, a few things I want to talk about here. First of all is the scientific argument. Okay, I want to avoid the religious argument in total, because this is a secular argument to me, and I know that people on the left side of this ideological opinion view some of these people that are anti-abortion as these religious fanatics, and I don't think that's the case, but I want to present this in purely secular terms. Okay, from a scientific standpoint, this is a requirement for this. It's a biological requirement. Okay, once you have this conceived in a mother's womb, it's obvious that what comes of that will not be a snake or a turtle or an eagle. It's a human. Okay, it's not a clump of cells. All right, if you can call it a clump of cells, then you can use that logic to justify killing me because I'm just a clump of cells, and that is the case. I am a clump of cells. I'm a larger clump of cells than what's in a mother's womb, obviously, but it's still a clump of cells if that's the logic that you'd like to use. I also think that we get misguided as a society when we promote this idea that abortion is a woman's right, and you have an opposing argument online, an opposing debate. I think that society doesn't realize that you're actually arguing about two different things here. Okay, when the left makes this argument that it's about bodily autonomy, a woman's rights, a woman's reproductive rights, what you're arguing over is the term rights as opposed to human. And what I mean by that is, if I simply offer the statement, it is wrong, immoral, illegal, you do not have the right to kill a human, I would get no disagreement from that. Okay, and I would also, as particularly as a libertarian, I would not argue with the broad statement of it is not the government's prerogative. It's not the government's right to interfere, to meddle with the rights of individuals. I absolutely agree. I'm sorry. But what we're talking about is not simply the rights of a mother to choose. We're talking about a completely separate human being. Okay. The reason that people will refer to this as a clump of cells, I believe, I may be wrong here, but this is how it appears. I believe it's to attempt to justify the killing of a human, and it's a way for people to get around the notion that that's actually what is happening when you abort a baby. If you call it something else, it takes the sting out of what actually happens, which is the ending of a human life, the stopping of a heartbeat. Okay? What this becomes, also in terms of large-scale societal promotion of abortion as a practice, it also becomes racist. And I don't think people think of it like this, but they should, because this most significantly affects blacks, Hispanics, minorities. I read a statistic the other day, and I can go and verify this. I don't want to state something that's incorrect. I do want to confirm. But I think it's true now that more black babies are aborted than are delivered in the country now. Okay, that is a racist thing, all right? And the fact that we promote this, it's not it becomes a rights issue in terms of human rights and in terms of ethnic cleansing, just to be frank about it, because that's who it happens to the most. And I don't know if we analyze those numbers or if we look at the effects of promoting this policy on a wide scale or not, but those are the results, and I think it's terrible. And I wish that people would view this as what I see as definitely racism. But anyways, moving on. I'd also like to address another common argument in terms of promoting the life of the baby to continue. The common left-leaning argument will be, well, but the right doesn't want to redistribute more resources and take care of those babies as a collective once they're born. And I think this is a little bit of I think this argument ignores the path of history in terms of fiscal wealth creation. What you're asking for on the left there is the notion that some should redistribute more resources to others, especially poor or minority people that are having these babies, so that they help them out in terms of raising those children. And I think this is a mistake in economic thought, because socialistic structures actually are destructions of wealth or basic wealth transfers. They inhibit the creation of new wealth. Okay, it's like me taking a piece of pie that I baked and handing it to my neighbor, which, hey, don't get me wrong, I love to do. I love to share my meals with others. But you're not allowing for the baking of new pies with socialistic redistributionist structures, okay? So I think it's wrong economically to suggest that the best way to care for those poor and minority infants that are being born is simply to take from this pie over here and give it to this pie over here. I think that's economically disproven throughout the course of history. You can go back to the Romans. And wealth creation is what makes a greater abundance of prosperity for the whole and for individuals, particularly the poor. Opportunity, not fetters upon capitalistic creation of wealth. that's not what's going to bring about more prosperity for those that you believe. And I absolutely agree that we believe that we should do everything that we can to promote better lives, especially in terms of physical outcomes for those people. I just think that that's demonstrably incorrect to suggest that that we take from some and give to others, and that it's also wrong to suggest that people of a capitalistic mindset or a pro-life mindset don't want to help those in need. That's not correct. One particular thing I would like to add in terms of that particular argument is that it's also a socialistic structure that prevents more people from adopting babies. And I wish that, hopefully I can, I wish that I could get the two families I know of that have gone through the adoption process to sit down with me and talk about some of the struggles they've had in adopting their babies, particularly in terms of financial stresses appropriated upon them. It's incredibly expensive to go through the adoption process, and that to me, and that is a socialistic, a government-run structure. Okay, that to me is a massive problem in terms of promoting adoption by loving, caring, stable households. And I don't care if that's gay, straight, black, Hispanic, white, Christian, Catholic, doesn't matter. We should make the adoption process as simple, regulatory as possible, and as cheap as possible. It's incredibly expensive to raise children, so the idea that we should apply these massive fees that do go towards publicly funded institutions to go through the adoption process seems completely antithetical to the goal of not only promoting life, but promoting life within a family that's physically able and willing to love and care for these children that you say that society has no desire to fund. That's not correct. There are lots of people waiting out there to adopt babies. And I hope that I can get some families to come on and talk about that. That would be great. But I did want to present this and show that people do actually view this calmly, and it's not an anger, rage-filled thing that you see on the internet. And I do think that losing that emotion and that tone within the text of a conversation, facial expressions, things like that, I think that loses some of the human nature, human discourse, and it promotes a more ambivalent view of your opponent, and you view them as purely antagonistic. And I think we actually want some similar goals. I know that there are vastly different ideological perspectives on abortion that can get passionate and heated. I get that, but I don't think that that's the general motive for either party right there. I do believe, like I said earlier, that we tend to argue about two different things in terms of rights or human. I think that's a problem in this debate. But at any rate, I do hope that you found this at least thought-provoking, and if you'd like to add to this discussion, or if you'd like me to sit down and talk about any particulars within this topic of abortion or adoption, I would love to do that, and I hope that we could have more calm and peaceful type of discussions about this topic, which is a sensitive topic going forward, as opposed to the lost in translation of text that happens across social media. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching and listening.